Hello and welcome back. This is the next part of the build, which is going to be the gear system. So I think I've got this first bit set up, all the parts ready. I believe A was the shorter one, wasn't it? Yep, so it's the shorter of the two gear shafts there, I guess. And I have my pieces set aside already. So the first bit we need is a couple of these little E-clips. Where do you go? If you're on the end there, I think I'll just use the table to push that down. And there's another one on this gear here, so I'll pop that in place. Well, the toothed section there anyway. Not gear, sorry. Okay, so I guess that's the first two pieces in place. And next, a couple more components. So you are 3A, I believe that was the 20-tooth gear, and there is the 13-tooth gear there as well, which from the looks of it sits in that housing which I've set aside already. Okay, so that's simple enough. Make sure I've got that the right way round. And this gear, there seems to be no obvious side to it, so I'll just slip you onto there. And what do we have next? PC3, P2, P2. Did I get P2? Yeah, that was P2, wasn't it? That slips. Oh no, I've missed one piece, sorry. P2, what do you look like? You'd be this one because you're the only one, I guess, sat on a tooth section. And this is in quite nicely there. And which end are you going on? You go on this end like so. And for this there is a C-clip, E-clip, whatever it is, that goes in place there. So I can't use my table this time, I think I'll use the needle nose. If I can get that in place. Okay, so that's that gear locked in position. And this one, we're now putting another E-clip on there. Try my pliers again, be careful, it's on the metal gear. There we go, that's locked that one in place quite nicely. Okay, the last section called for the P1 with the J1. That should just slot into the housing quite nicely there. So what have we got attached? That one was done, those two are done. This one's done. We need another C-clip V-clip or whatever they are. I think I can use the edge of the board here to push this one in place. Sorry if it's off camera a little bit maybe. But that's going to be the easiest way for me to get that done. Okay, and this last one was sat in over there. And one final clip goes on there. If I can pick it up. There we go. I think I can use the pliers for this one. So certainly easier than using the Tamiya tool provided, which is going to do nothing apart from shred your fingers. It's partially on there, just try and use the nose to fully, there we go. So that's the first gear shaft completed. I think I've got a couple of parts to cut out on this one, so I'll get them cut out and I'll cut back in once they're cut out and we're ready for the next parts. That's somewhere safe for keeping just now. And we'll be back in a second. So now I have my parts assembled, we can get on with the second gear shafts. What I've done also, just so I don't lose track of things, I've written a quick number on them. It's going to be inside the casing, so you're not going to see anything like that anyway, but it's going to certainly keep me on track, I think. So let's have a look at this. The first one, I think it's going to be easy if we get this E-clip on first. So I'm going to use the table to pop that one in. There we go. Be asking for a little bit of grease in a second. And some bearings. Which one are you? M2s. That was the M2s there. And M2s on that one. So what I'll do is pop you in there. I think this is where people have used upgrade kits and things with the bearings. Again, this is just a stock kit, so I've only got bearings and little ones in there, and so the ones with ball bearings through them. Be most of the way on, then start greasing that up, I guess. Actually, I'll just grease this and pop it on. Okay. So that's on there, hopefully enough. And then it looks like we have another C-clip holding you in place, but that'll give you some movement. So I'll see if I can get the C-clip lined up on that one. Pliers, I think, for this. Make sure it's fully on there. Yeah, that looks like it's secured, those ones. Oh, I've noticed that metal bearing, bushing, whatever it is, seems to slide out a little bit, but I guess that's fine, it's not going anywhere, it's all going to be kept in line, it's not going to both fall out. Seems a bit weird though. I'll maybe have to have a look. I think I maybe saw a video somewhere saying it was possibly good to glue those sections in. Put a little bit more grease, I think, on this top bit there. Just to help things along a little bit. Seeing plenty of grease on the bottom side, but not much on the top. So that's nicely greased. Right, this next section we're looking at the other side. So it's slip in these bushings on each one. So that pushes in quite nice and tight on that one. And hopefully they're going to stay in. It's not going to be an issue or anything. And again, a bit more grease on there. Yeah. Okay, so just have a quick look how it fits into that gear and the slides. But I'll get this C-clip on there. That should hold everything in place, or E-clip, sorry, whoever it is. It's holding everything on there, so I must so it keeps on slipping out, but I don't think that's going anywhere, so it's not going to cause an issue, I don't think. But if it does, we can open it up and don't know, maybe look at gluing the metal bearing in place. So that's that section done. First section, so yep, it's all fine. This next section, which way round is it? Okay, so we've got one of these ball-toothed nuts. Sits into J8, so you quite loosely sit there and ask to be oiled. Right, so how is that fitting together actually? Quick look. Clip there. So I think it's asking for that nut to go on there, be clipped in, lubricated. Does that sit on there, that one? It's P3, I think it was. So this is on there. It fits in somehow. Oh, there. Okay. So just making sure I get it correct in my head. That's part 8 that you said there. Okay, so this bit required a washer to go on first. Requires this bit to go on, that's a tooth nut there. I mean, it looks as if there should be clips. There's certainly space for a clip. It doesn't really say about it. Everything else is clipped. It's asking for 6 clips. I've used 1, 2, 3 left now. Okay, so 1, 2, 3. Yeah, so there is space for a clip on there, but it's not actually asking for a clip, so it just confused me for a second. But it is asking for a bit more grease on the nut itself. And also this shaft. I'll get it done as well. Can't do that end. And this section, the J8, not checking my numbers on there, sits onto there, and then from the looks of it, it's the smaller bearings which fit onto that one, which is the P5. There's each section there. This gets threaded on. More grease on there, I think. G5 gets threaded on the top. And then we've got one last clip there as well. Just taking a little bit of time there. Have a quick look at things, but you just want to make sure you get it right when going at it, and you don't have to take things apart and redo it. It might be a bit difficult doing it this way. Okay, so you're quite happily in place. So, sorry, I was just having a look at the gears. So they would lock together at some point. That would engage, or that would engage. So those two in the middle slide quite happily. So it's fairly coming together. And this last little section, what are you calling for? Was calling for, well, we've got a clip on there already. This nut's, let's double check. It's P6, so it needs to be that side out. So yeah, I think that's fit. There's a little ridge just on that nut. I'm going to have that facing outwards. And that sits on there, clip on top, and then it's oiled up again. Nice and in. That's fine on there. And what do we have next? That was this section, clip on and some oil or grease. Making sure it's reasonably well greased there. re-grease it anytime soon, really. Seeing as it means tearing everything apart. And so that part there is greased. And we're now sliding on the J6 onto there. P3, that side out. The last of the metal bushings in there. And this rod is greased up here. Okay. And one last E-clip. Line up. And that's on there. So, as you can see, it's a few different sliding pieces to activate the gears. And I do notice it sometimes sticks the bearings, and pulls them out of place. But I mean, functionality wise, I don't feel it making any difference really, because you've got bearing each side so it keeps it stable. But I'll run like that anyway, and if I come across any problems, it's something we can look at maybe upgrading or doing something with. Maybe instead of, I've seen a video that someone had glued some sections into place, and just the bearings and the housings. So that's the second part of the gears set up there. And now we're on to the likes of the actual shift rod itself, which will, I guess, align these sections into running. From the looks of it, there's 3 different pieces, which I imagine would slot into the 3 different sections, but I'll hunt out the pieces for that. And we'll get back to it in a second, once I have them found and sorted out. So I quickly looked ahead, because this is going to be a greased piece, the shifting rods. What I might do is build part of the housing first, so then I can attach everything together after building the shifting rod as well. That just saves me having a greased piece lying around making a mess. And yeah, we'll go do it that way. So I don't need that second piece yet, that's going to be the last bit to go on. So we have a metal plate, this little metal housing fits on there, and it's got the tiniest nuts and bolts to go in there. It does say put a thread lock on there. So what I'll do is I'll put the bolts in those little housings for them to slip in, and then I'll drop a bit of thread lock through the bolt itself. Okay, so some in there. Pull that thread lock in there. Okay, careful you don't pull the bolt out as well. Okay. So that slips onto the plate. We'll line up these little bolts or screws, they're tiny. And try and screw them into place without going over the top. See, your thread lock's going to ooze out the top a little bit. Cloth there to just wipe up any excess. And with the second one still lined up, that's fine. Slip you through. Just make sure they're nice and tight with them without going over the top. Now let's tidy that up a little bit around there. Okay, that's part of it done. Need the thread lock anymore. Although it's metal on metal, there's nothing going to be moving through them, it's just going to be metal on metal. I'm going to maybe drop a little bit of thread lock on these as well, just to be safe. So that sits that side. Have I done it on the wrong? I've done it on the wrong side. Yep. Oh, easily done. This is why you should double check everything. So that's the inside where the bolts are. And these just get slipped on. And get a little bit of thread lock on there again just to make sure. Get that back in place. Okay, use that one in there, and the second one. Just clean them up again. Okay, so that should be okay. On there, try and get it off. That's fine. Sticking my towel to my hands. Right, so there's that bit sorted there. Once we've got it around the right way, and we're onto the connections here then. So the first one going that side. Get one of these screws in there. So I'll pop a little bit of thread lock on them. It seems it's going to be moving area. Might be some vibrations with the gears. Not too much though. Okay, so hand tighten that. Yes, that's about as tight as we can get it. And the second one is on this outside. Okay, fine. Again, a little bit of thread lock. One last one to do, isn't it? And that's this bottom corner. Okay, so that's part of the housing ready, and it looks like various bearings will sit on there, and another plastic part into there, so I'll get them cut out and prepared, and we'll jump back a page and get the shifting rod sorted. So I'll pop back in a second whilst I have these sections cut out and prepared. And now I have all the parts ready, we can get the shift rod made. Okay, so this is our rod here, and we've got two of the tiniest little E-clips that I've ever seen going into it. I can barely pick them up. So it's tiny. These go into the middle somehow. I was going to try putting it on the table and popping it in, but don't know how I'm going to balance that. Where's my pliers? It's going to be a fiddly job, this one. Let's make sure I've got the right ones. Yep. Okay, that's one of them. One of them. hopefully this next one's going to be a little bit easier. Tiny, tiny parts. There we go. That's just about one. And there we go, that's the two of them on there. So, next part would be sliding one of these. Just double check the way there. Just double check that spring. They must be just put round. Okay. So, just double check my sides again. That would be loose on there. Yeah, I'll get this greased up, I think. The only bit you don't have to grease is the middle, pretty much. So at least you've got somewhere to hold. It's a very, very fiddly job, I guess. So there should be enough grease on there. And that's just slid over there. Looks like a cat's trying to get my attention. Just grease the whole piece a little bit. And this plastic one there. This third section there. And finally the side A spring. Okay. I'll quickly pause it there just because my cat's going to tear my leg to shreds otherwise. Okay, that's the cat happy and fed. Roads run to this other section here, which again is greased up, I guess, pretty well. And this one is set that way round. Try and move the crease around a little bit with the springs set there. Okay. So we can get to this next page. Put some of this little plastic shavings off. And we've got that piece already set up and made. So now, let's have a look. There's my tray of pieces prepared here, and my little notes. That's for one part we're going to have to replace one of the screws that they've provided in a separate bag. And for now, what do we need to do? So we're going to be probably best if we set this flat. And that sits in there, and it looks like it needs a little bit of grease. So it must be going to melt the actual gears. So I'll grease around the actual gear itself and try and smear it a little bit so it goes through the middle. There we go. And the next one is just one of the plastic housings I've already cut, which sits into the bottom there. Quite snug. And the metal bearing there, again that's greased up. Again, try to smear a little bit so it will rub inside. I think that should do. Okay. Now it looks like we're going to start aligning the gears and the gear shift. And I have everything set here. So I guess we'll do the chunkiest one first. It does show to grease gears and also the little grooves in between there, and also the ends up to a point on this one actually. But that's fine, plenty of grease still. So we'll pop a dab around there. Like I say, plenty of grease. I've stolen some from the old Tamiya kit. Still had plenty left in there, so that'll do everything I need. I think this end I'll wait before just putting everything on there. I'll bring it up in a couple. It's just not going to smear. Maybe get a fresh bit of hand to sit on, so it's not going to smear grease everywhere. And that housing accommodates everything just there. So the second set of gears. Actually I think once it's like this it'll be easy to access everything to grease this one, so I'll go ahead and grease everything up as we go in. I guess it will work itself round at some point as well. So I don't need to completely gunk it up. Well, I've just fed you, cat, so you're going to have to wait a couple of seconds at least whilst I've got everything greased and together. Okay, so that's that one greased. This next one sits in that housing there, this way up, so a little bit of grease there. It seems to say grease everything apart from the little one there. I'm sure that will run on grease of a different type. Okay. Quickly grease these gears. Just a little bit around the place. Okay, that should be fine. this one sits in down here. I might have to take this one out actually to get this one in. And that one sits in there. We see those gears going together. Okay. Some more paper to get this grease off my fingers. And now we'd have the arms sitting into place. Yes. You're gonna have to wait, I've just fed you. Is the cat attacking my leg? Yep, there you are, Debbie. Okay, and this goes in to that hole there. I think everything's got to kind of line up. That would fit into the grooves of this one. It might be best taking that out actually and almost trying to fit that together with this one. Right, that one there. It's kind of a bit slippy there. That seems to be okay there. Just that one there, so it's the last one to slip into there. Okay, so that's them on there. And try and slip this back into place. There we go, let's slide in there. Right. Tons of grease. Okay. I think I'll actually go wash this grease off my fingers before it gets everywhere. Okay, my hands have been cleaned and my cat has been fed for the second time in 10 minutes. We can get things put together. So that's the shifting arm attached there, and we've greased everything else. Okay, so it's going to be this back plate. I should be able to get this round the right way this time. I'll just pop the bearings in. Put that in and then start using grease again. Hoping not to really get greasy again. That's a pretty snug fit in there. There we go. So that's the lid in there. A little bit more grease around the inside. Okay, and this is slid on top of there with, I believe, this last one in place. So I think it might be easier actually if I don't put that fully on yet. I'll get a screw ready and pop that in. It's this corner down here. Oh, put a little thread lock on it as well. Might as well, you know. So we give me vibrations in that area, I guess, working all gears. Just the tiny spots on there. That'll do me. And then the rod screwed onto there. Okay, so that should now sit in and match the other housing. And just about together. Okay. So, see up right there. We've got a couple more screws to go in. Just bolting everything together now, basically. And that's most of the actual setup for the gears. Again, I'm going to tap a little thread lock on those, just because I don't want any vibrations knocking them out. Just about lined up in a hole there. I won't fully tighten it all. Get a few more in so it's a bit more stable before fully tightening. Put that on you. Touching grease somewhere. Probably just out the back a little bit. That's fine. Because it's definitely no on the side there. Kind of looks intimidating a little bit because there's a lot of different goings on, I guess, really. But it seems to be straightforward so far. Not encountering any major issues with putting the gears together, apart from touching all the grease constantly. This last screw, I'll just double check it, it's all tight enough. That seems pretty sturdy. Like I said, it's one of those things you don't really want to fall apart on you. So as well, make sure it's good. Okay, so that's most of the main components up for the gear now. One little bit which least. Yeah, that's it there. Entirely sure what the slider does. Yeah, that all seems to be working. So I've got that crease around a good bit of the gears there. I suppose that sort of thing intrigues me. I do like see bits of machinery working and going around. Programs like how it's made is quite ingenious when you see all the technologies at work. All the different gears and everything going. Okay. But anyway, what I'll do is I'll move on to the next step and I'll quickly go get all the pieces set up for that. And of course remember to swap out, I think it's just this end piece where it connects to the drive coupling, the joint cup. There is another one set in there that's B1. It's on the motor itself and it says it's only drive shaft, or gear shaft, sorry, which is affected, so I'll get everything set up for that and we'll go from there. Okay, I have the parts now ready for the next step. So bring this round the right way. Okay, so it's J4, this little plastic washer going on there. I've written a note to myself of replace because there was a replacement part in a bag, so I'll slip that onto there, which is the joint for the drive shaft, and get one of my replacements. I've double checked the instructions because there is another little screw the same size in one of the other parts, but it doesn't seem to say anything about replacing that. It seems to just be this one here, which gives us a couple of spares just in case, I guess. My tool. Okay, so it's suggesting the thread lock on this one. I'll get this set up and tightened into place. Okay, so that's that one there. Okay, the thread lock. Okay, that should do. You can try not to use too much. Not very much on there actually. And that's actually, it might be easier doing this bit first. Take it off, get it started, and how is it flipped around? Difficult. Yeah, try and get this started and then mount it and tighten into place. Okay, it's about there. That needs to go flat onto the surface. It should be about there. And just tighten it up. double check. Okay, and just fully tighten that. Okay, so now that's secure onto there. It's a bit easier to work with the gears without getting grease all over my fingers now. So I'm happy enough with that. And a little bit of excess thread lock. Okay, so that's one section completed there. It does also mention about the tiny C-clips as well. I guess that's fine to go on. It's not really going to get in the way of anything. It's just a question of how to line it up now. Just slip that on and hopefully it'll stay in place. I might not be able to see exactly what I'm doing, but I need to be able to see and get it done. And they are tiny. Right. Okay. Hold it in place. And, oh, that's slipped off again. Grease. Oh, I don't have any tweezers handy. Can I improvise anything? I don't really got anything else here. I'll try this one last time. I might try and find something to improvise tweezers. Bring this around a little bit more to myself so I can see. There we go. Make sure it's properly on there. Okay, so we'll bring this round to the other side. Well, we have the same issue, so bear with me a second, hopefully it won't be as fiddly as the last one. But of course everything's now greased, so it makes it that little bit more difficult to hold something in place. Nope. One last try. I'll do it with my fingers, but no, it's a bit too stiff. There we go, and that's it. I really want to double check everything, make sure it is all good. Yeah, that one did need a double click. I'll check this side just in case, but I think I have checked it. No, that's good. Okay, so the next part to go on is this little metal casing, which I guess this is going to be the lever for the gear shaft. Again, I'm going to put a little bit thread lock on there, just a tiny amount. Again, it's not asking for it in the book, but it's metal parts moving all over the place, isn't it? So I don't want it to go anywhere. Again, I'll partially put that on. Actually, I guess I'll need to leave that pretty loose. I'll take the thread lock off there quickly, just because I'll need to reposition bits. I'll maybe go back through and properly tighten it, the thread lock, once we get the servo set up with the actual adjustments. Okay, for now I'll just do a hand tighten so it's not going to go anywhere. That's it all. Yeah, loosen that. I was saying that that bar does rotate round, so no, you know what? I will put a little bit of thread lock on there. I don't think it's going to cause an issue. I forgot that bar rotates a little bit. The shift shaft. Okay. There's a lot of very small bits at the moment, so it's a bit difficult to see everything. Okay, all those the hex, nothing that does that fit. Yeah. Too big for that. Just right, there we go. So I think that's tight enough for my liking. And that's going to be how we shift the gears using the servo once it's fully set up, and hopefully tomorrow I'll actually be getting the servo tester. A little bit closer so you can actually see. And that'll slide the gears in and out whilst it's turning. Okay, so we have one or two little bits left to go. Oh, actually, I've forgotten to find some pieces. Probably the most important one to actually do anything. One piece is here, so that's easy enough. But the actual motor itself, I suppose it's quite a hard one to actually forget. Okay, so that comes in with the unit itself. About the electrical piece, which does. Everything else obviously separate. Okay. So yellow to green, green to yellow. Doesn't actually say which way round it goes. So it's not exactly lined up as the picture, but I guess as long as it's kind of close then it's okay. But I guess match that onto there, which is the motor plate, which I don't know if you can see looks like a cardboard spacer basically. Centre that up over the couple of mounting holes which are there. To give it space. Okay, so that's sorted there. I guess we'd need to put on the gear itself next. So again, I'll probably be sensible. A little bit of Loctite on this piece here. It's so tiny. So just a drop, I think. And that goes into this 10-tooth. Is it 10-tooth? Yeah, 10-tooth gear. So I'll just start that there, pop up on the motor. I think what I'll do is I'll put everything in roughly, just in case that needs to be aligned to the actual 10-tooth gear, just because it's sitting right on the motor itself at the moment, so that might cause a little bit of rubbing against the piece, so it might need to come out just a fraction from it. So yeah, I'll get the screws in place. Again, it doesn't say which way around you want the wires facing coming out, but green on the outside, I think. There's that hole. Yeah, that's fine. So I'll pop a little bit on just because it's mounted to the engine. I don't want it shaking loose in the lock thread lock, whatever this stuff is. Blue gummy stuff. Right, so that's you there. And if I can, just pop you in your hole. And where's the driver? There it is. Is it going anywhere? That's not going anywhere, doing anything. Oh, this plate's moved a little bit. It's just sitting on the edge. Right. Give this another try. Bit of an awkward angle to get in, but I think that's it there. Okay, so now I've got that temporarily in place, I just want to make sure I've got a good position there, and I think that's okay. It's kind of centered on the gears itself. It's not over the edge, so it's looking like that runs smooth enough to me. Let's see if we can tighten this up quickly. Sorry if my hands are in the way, it's a bit of a fiddly job. I'm trying to keep it on line whilst doing it. There we go. So I'm happy with that. So yep, that little screw there. Make sure it's all good. So that is lined up the gear pretty well. Again, I've still got another screw to go in, so I'll need to adjust that to make sure it's not biting too hard, I guess, from the motor. Make sure it runs nice and smooth. I guess you don't want the teeth tearing into each other if it's metal and plastic. That grease keeps on coming from somewhere. Somewhere about there. Okay, I just want to put a dent with this one. So you get that too much. And it before it dries. Put that off. Junior hole. I think that was it. Yeah, that's going on nicely. Just double check before fully tighten it down. Everything's running smoothly. To me, yep, that looks fine, feels fine. There's nothing rubbing harshly that I can feel. So I'll go ahead and tighten these up. Okay, and double check, yep, that screw was all tight, that's all good. So that's the gearbox assembled, that's that motor finish, I'll put it in there. And all we have left now is the housing, which is just 5 screws really. But how does this go together? That fits that side, that fits on this side. So that's it sitting in the housing. And encased in that's our shifter shaft out this side. Drive chain coming out on that one there. So that's pretty neat. So I'll go ahead and start putting these in. I suppose I'll just do one at a time instead of everything falling out. I don't think I'll Loctite these just in case I need to get back in there for any reason, if anything goes wrong. I'll just hope that they don't get shaken out. Just loosely put them in for the moment. There we go. Put some of those up front. Let's get them just a few few here and there. So it's not going to fall apart. We'll get everything tightened properly. On top. I've been tempted to possibly try and do the front axle before the servo, but I think it would get in the way of actually hooking up the components on the servo. And so hopefully tomorrow my tester arrives so we can get those pieces set up and in. But I was also very tempted about putting some wheels together and then putting the hex screws on the tyres, on the axles. So it actually started to look a little bit more truck-like. But I think I've got patience, I can wait. So I'm going to have to wait for the controller. I don't know when that's arriving. Obviously ordered before the servo tester, but I don't think it's been shipped yet. I'll need to go check on that. I think I'll start tightening up all of these. This is almost done. Last two to tighten. Double check just to make sure, just in case you know if it pulls together properly and there's a little bit of play in anything. But no, that's looking solid. I'm happy with that. So that's one gearbox assembly completed. So what are we looking at? That would get mounted somewhere at the front. Move forward. Yep, move forward, drive chain backwards. Yeah. That's in there actually, that sits all the way in there. But, yeah, I think for this what I'll do is I'll wait until it gets the servo tester so I can get the front assembled, because that's just going to get in the way of trying to assemble the front axles. So we'll call it a day now for what I've done so far, but we're making some good progress. I don't mind taking my time over this. Keeps me occupied in the evening. Okay, and I'll get everything tidied up and ready for the next parts. But thanks for watching. Bye now.